The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as Ambassador Zia Chikara of the Velthian Collective delivered the devastating news. Her crystalline form flickered with distress as holographic projections filled the circular room, displaying the approaching horror that had ended countless civilizations across the universe. "The Void Swarm has breached the Outer Rim," she announced, her voice resonating through the translation matrices. 12 systems have already fallen. At their current velocity, they will reach the core worlds in 47 standard cycles. Around the chamber, representatives from 200 species exchanged glances of barely concealed terror. The Void Swarm was ancient, a plague of biomechanical entities that consumed everything in their path, leaving only lifeless husks of worlds behind. They had destroyed the legendary progenitor civilization millennia ago. No known force had ever stopped them. "We must evacuate," declared High Chancellor Mordic, his 6 arms gesturing frantically. "Redirect all resources to the colony ships. We can rebuild beyond the galactic rim. Abandon 3 trillion sentient beings." Jakara's form pulsed with anger. There must be another way. That's when Captain Sarah Chen of the Terran Diplomatic Corps stood up. The human had been sitting quietly in the observers section, as Earth had only recently been granted provisional membership in the Council. At 1.7 meters tall, she was unremarkable by galactic standards. But something in her posture made the chamber take notice. "If I may," Sarah said calmly, her voice barely above a conversational tone, yet somehow carrying to every corner of the vast space. "Earth would like to volunteer a different approach." Mordic's sensory stalks curled in what his species expressed as contempt. "Humans, your planet still suffers from tectonic instability and corrosive atmospheric oxygen. What could a species from such a primitive death world possibly offer?" Sarah smiled, and several nearby ambassadors instinctively shifted away. Humans had that effect. There was something predatory about their forward-facing eyes and exposed teeth. "We've dealt with extinctional threats before," she replied. "We'd like to study your data on the swarm," the Council, desperate and out of options, agreed. They expected nothing from the bizarre species that had somehow survived on a world that would kill most. Galactic citizens within hours. What they didn't expect was what came next. Commander Elena Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the UESS Indomitable, humanity's first true warship. As it dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Kepler 442 system, around her vessel, another 200 Terran ships materialized, a hodgepodge fleet of converted mining vessels, repurposed colony ships, and experimental military craft. "The swarm is 2-0 ahead, consuming the 4th planet," reported Lieutenant Okafor. "Good," Elena said, studying the tactical display. "That gives us time to set up. Begin Operation Thunderstrike." What the Galactic Council didn't understand about humans was that Earth had forged them in fire. Their world had tried to kill them with ice ages, supervolcanoes, asteroid impacts, and plagues. Humanity's response had been to study, adapt, and overcome. They had turned every threat into a challenge, every disaster into a lesson. The Void Swarm was just the latest problem to solve. For 3 weeks, human scientists had analyzed every byte of data the Council possessed. They discovered what the more cautious alien species had missed. The swarm wasn't invincible. It was efficient, but efficiency created patterns, and patterns could be exploited. "Deploy the resonance mines," Elena ordered. Thousands of devices, built in the orbital foundries above Earth in a manufacturing frenzy that had stunned alien observers, spread across the system. Each contained a power core that would have been considered recklessly dangerous by Council standards. Humans had looked at the specifications and asked if they could be made bigger. "Swarm is adjusting trajectory," Okafor reported. "They've detected the ships. They're accelerating toward us." "Perfect," Elena said. "Let them come." The Void Swarm had consumed worlds because its prey had always run. They had evolved to pursue to chase down fleeing populations. But humans weren't running. They were standing their ground on a battlefield they had chosen, using tactics born from 10,000 years of warfare on a planet that had taught them to be the galaxy's most persistent predators. "Resonance mines at maximum charge," the weapons officer called out. Target lock acquired on the swarm's central nexus. Fire everything, Alina commanded. The mines detonated in a carefully orchestrated sequence, creating cascading quantum resonance waves that disrupted the swarm's neural network. It was a technique inspired by whale songs and earthquake harmonics, adapted for weapons by a species that saw art in destruction and beauty in survival. The swarm faltered, its perfect coordination shattered. In that moment of chaos, the human fleet struck. Railguns, powered by controlled fusion reactions, hurled projectiles at relativistic speeds. Missile swarms, guided by AI far more aggressive than Council protocols would allow, found weak points in the swarm's armor. And the humans themselves in armored combat suits boarded damaged swarm vessels, fighting through corridors with a ferocity that seemed impossible for beings from a supposed low-gravity world. The battle lasted 18 hours. When it ended, the void swarm was scattered, its nexus destroyed, its components drifting as inert debris back in the council chamber. The gathered species watched the battle footage in stunned silence. They had expected the humans to fail, perhaps to provide a brief distraction. Instead, they had witnessed Earth's children tear apart a threat that had haunted the galaxy for eons. How? Jakara finally asked, her crystalline form shimmering with confusion and awe. How did you know their weaknesses? Sarah Chen stood before the council once more, bearing fresh scars from the battle. Because on Earth, everything has a weakness. Earthquakes, hurricanes, ice ages, each other. We've spent our entire existence finding weaknesses and exploiting them. The swarm was just another predator, and we learned a long time ago how to become the apex. But the risk, Mordic protested. The energy outputs, the aggressive AI, the nuclear weapons in close-quarters combat. You could have destroyed yourselves. Sarah's smile returned, and this time the council understood what it meant. It wasn't cruelty or aggression. It was the expression of a species that had looked at death so many times that fear had become merely another factor to calculate and overcome. Chancellor, she said softly, when you come from a death world, you learn that the universe is already trying to kill you. We just got better at killing it back. The Galactic Council voted unanimously to grant Earth full membership. They also voted to never ever visit the planet's surface without extensive environmental protection. Some places in the galaxy, they decided, were better appreciated from a safe distance. But when the next crisis came, they knew exactly who to call.